There we go.
Like it just doesn't recognize barcode.
Oh, those things? No, they don't really work.
So yeah, you just leave them up in the screen.
Yeah.
That just doesn't do it every day.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, this is Scott Roberts with the Explore Scientific, and this is the Explore Alliance Live. And today we have a special program with Pranvera Hyseni and actually a fairly large group of people that support Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, and including people in Kosovo joining us right now. So I'm going to let Pranvera come on, and we will. I'll ask Pranvera to take the stage here.
Thank you so much, Scott, and thank you all of you for joining. This is awesome to see all these familiar faces. Some of you haven't seen in a year. My team back in Kosovo. That's awesome. So thanks for giving me this opportunity. Today we're going to discuss about Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, and mainly about the observatory project that I'm sure most of you have heard of. This has been a long dream that we wanted to make it true, but we ran in so many challenges, so we are still working on it, and hopefully this is gonna be happening, but we need your help to make that happen. So I'm gonna go ahead, and while I speak very shortly a brief about the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, I also want to share photos of our team. So for all of you that actually don't know that what Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo does, we are an astronomy organization, nonprofit in Kosovo, that we aim to share and educate the public about science and astronomy, and try to inspire all the young generations about science, about math, about anything that we can possibly do. So the thing is that in our country, it's not like in other countries where do you actually have astronomy departments, you have observatories, you have so many people that do science. This is something that we don't have in Kosovo. It's not very common. So this was actually one of the first astronomy group that I founded in 2015, about 6 years ago. And we are just a team of young people, students and teachers from different backgrounds, that we share the same passion, and all we want to do is try to educate others about what astronomy is and why this is important to study, and about science, and try to actually make our country better somehow in this way. These are just photos of events, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let other people speak, because there's so many people here that want to share your experiences. I'll stop sharing my screen. Okay, great.
Here, I'll take the gallery view for you, Pranvera. Maybe you want to introduce the people that are here.
Definitely, I will actually, I would like to go ahead and let Stephen Ramsden introduce. We have been part of the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project since the first day that we started AOK, and he has been like the really huge support to our program. So I'll let him go ahead and speak.
Pranvera. Here we are. Thank you, Mr. Scott Roberts, for all that you do.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
For having me on, man. I appreciate it.
It's awesome.
I love what you do, man. You're my hero. Dr. Shostak, mucho respect, my friend. Thank you so much. I feel honored to be in your presence.
Yeah. Same, Stephen. That's great.
We met a few years ago, and I've been following you, as long as I can remember, and I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you, Scott.
You've been an awesome inspiration all over the world, Stephen. So, and I know that you've had huge influence also in Kosovo. you know.
Footsteps of giants, Scott. I just follow the footsteps of the giants, man. Robert Reeves, I'd be nice to you, but you know. So listen, 2000. My name is Stephen Ramsden, and I run. Hold on a minute. Before I say anything else, live long and prosper. And I will take off my Vulcan wig now. Just a moment. So we're ready. Before the show, I had on my Cardinal Redbird wig, and it was just too much.
Yeah.
But I run a solar astronomy outreach program called the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project, and our main presence is on Facebook. I started this in 2008. It's named in memoriam to a veteran I served with who died from suicide. So the entire intent of that program was to try to extend the indescribable good fortune that I had to have happened to have been born in this country and happened to have been exposed to giants like Carl Sagan at an early age. He was my first college professor. Seth Shostak is one of those people. I wanted to extend that ability and that opportunity to as many people as possible, because let's face it, everybody on here has got everything they ever wanted, you Americans, and there's people all over the world that are motivated and energized to do things and don't have the resources we have. So hey, why not share our resources? I mean, how many telescopes do you need, you know? So I started this program with the intent of sharing astronomy equipment and astronomy knowledge day and night around the world. And it kind of took a life of its own and has blown up pretty good. I started using Facebook as my main mode of communication back in the day. Started using Facebook back as my main mode of communication back in the day because it's got great potential. I pretty much block everything else on Facebook, but I use my nonprofit site there to do everything. And we had so much equipment, so many resources to distribute that it was getting to be a problem because we were being taken advantage of. So I used Facebook, and I went and found people that were posting things on social media to help. I didn't take any solicitations from anywhere because, you know, frankly, most of them were scam artists and stuff. So I happened upon Pranvera and the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo in a Facebook post, and I said, wow, those people are really doing some good stuff over there, and they have nothing basically. I mean, she had, you know, a telescope and all that, but here I'm looking in my garage, I've got $80,000 worth of gear I haven't used in over a year. Let's just give it to them. So I contacted her and asked, you know, what's the best way to help you out with this program? And, you know, we arranged a shipment and a purchase through a dealer in Germany to get a hydrogen alpha solar telescope and a mount into her hands with her astronomy outreach group. And I'll let her talk about her family history and the way their country was developed. But I will tell you this, from my visit there in 2014, there is no more patriotically American country on earth than Kosovo. And that includes America. I've never seen so many flags in my life for the United States. Streets named after presidents, statues praising our leaders of the time. It's an experience you should all take up because it is a fantastic thing. So we sent these telescopes from Germany, and they got hijacked on a bus, and it was just a major ordeal. The bus driver was supposed to deliver it to some shady character somewhere, and then they were supposed to swap it out with some other gangster or whatever. It ended up costing us several hundred more euros to get the scope to her. And it cost so much to get that one little package to them that I decided, you know, I could fly first class round trip for a third of the amount of money I've spent on bribes to get this telescope to her. So I got another load up, and I did just that. Flew to Kosovo. They welcomed me there, of course, with open arms. And, you know, it's a great group of people, man. I mean, I've traveled around the world in the military, but as a civilian, you know, it's a different thing. People don't look at you the way they do when you're in a uniform. So I show up in Kosovo in 2014, and the first thing I noticed was that every single person in their astronomy club was A, under 50, B, showed up and worked at every event. Okay, and I'm not saying, you know, anything about older people because I'm pushing 60 myself, but it was just enlightening to see so many people, so energetic, so young, and these were all college people. That were doing these things. I hope my screen is being shared.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. It was really fantastic. So these are just some of the various photos of me showing up there. And like I say, I met Pranvera and her group through Facebook. This is the day they welcomed me to Kosovo with a giant birthday cake because it was my birthday.
Oh,
And then, what's that?
I said, that's great.
Yeah, except that I have diabetes and I had to break it to him in Albanian somehow. So it was quite a amusing chapter in my life.
Yes.
That's your dad on the right. And he is one of the strongest men I've ever met. This guy hid his family in the mountains during a war. Pranvera was 4 years old. The stories in this man's brain are worth volumes, but that's a whole nother topic for a Zoom meeting. And I'll tell you one thing, he's about a foot shorter than me and I would not mess with him for anything. Okay, he looked like a T-72 tank. So then we keep going and I'll make this as brief as possible, but there's Pranvera welcoming me at the airport. And we love our selfies. There's the telescopes that we distributed to Pranvera's group. And this was nothing off me because, I'd owned these scopes already and I bought these with personal money and I'd already moved on to larger scopes thanks to Scott Roberts and some of those guys. So why not give it to them? I mean, what am I going to do with it in my garage? What good is it doing me sitting unused, gathering dust in my garage? So I just stuck them in a suitcase, snuck through customs and got them to these folks. There's Pranvera and her dad. And you can tell that handsome character there is me. But the point here is these people are motivated, super energetic to share astronomy. Everyone in this country is exceedingly well, not everyone, but most people in this country are exceedingly well educated because they don't have to mortgage their home to go to college. Everyone there has got graduate degrees and more. But there's very little opportunity as of yet in their new country. It's only 10 or 12 years old. So science and knowledge is the key for them to getting their economy going and to getting more people involved in the world. It's the youngest country in the European Union. I think the average population age is around 28, but they've got about 75% unemployment there, last time I checked. But the country is waiting to grow. And we believe that science and knowledge is a way for them to grow. So, and by the way, as much as I love Pranvera and the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo and the teacher who is on the call with us, Miriam, this is one of 27 countries that we have done this program in. And I can tell you the entire world is thirsty, man. They are thirsty for this knowledge. They cannot wait until these stupid boundaries get done away with. And we join the Federation as one planet because that's the future. We've got to do it now. It's kind of a goal that's unseeable for a lot of people right now because of what's going on in the world. But you got to start somewhere, man. And this is how we do it. So we spread this equipment around. We teach these people how to use it. It doesn't cost me anything. It's donor money. Why not? Let's help some other people. Here's the Lunt Solar Systems telescope and mount that we sent over there. These people are using it. So anyway, they're going to build an observatory. They've got the land, they've got the design, they've got the programs. These people are not lacking in engineering skill or intelligence. Okay, they are all very highly educated. It's easy for us to say, oh, well, that's a third world country or whatever. Man, this place, the intelligence level in these countries is way higher than what I've seen around me in my country. We'll just leave it at that. But they need resources. You can't purchase the telescope in Kosovo if you wanted to, because the surrounding countries are not being real helpful right now with imports and things. So even if they had this US dollars laying around, they couldn't do anything with it. So it's up to us to bring this stuff to Kosovo. Why? Well, because an intelligent, educated community is a good community. It's good for the entire community when you provide knowledge, equipment, training, and science to members of any community on this planet. Okay, and I'm not a one country person, I'm a global person, because obviously if you watch Star Trek, that's what we need to be going for, man. We're never going to get into the Federation when we've got 160 different countries fighting over who's better. We all got to get together and do this. Their observatory will be built on land they already own, with designs they already have, with people who are 10 times as qualified to run these observatories than the average person in the United States. And it's just a matter of getting a few resources over there, money-wise, equipment-wise, etc. By the way, if you've noticed these pictures, when they have an astronomy event there, they have 1,500 people at an astronomy event. They don't have, 3 of the 50 members show up and then complain about it the whole time. Everyone shows up, and their parents and their friends. Okay, and they put on a show. You have a good time in Kosovo. In fact, I was almost arrested. We had such a good time in the town square in Pristina because I parked my rental Mercedes, in the wrong spot. That's another story. But knowing that I was former military there, as soon as I got off the plane, my money was no good because they credit United States politicians and military with helping them create their country, which is the case. So I said, I need to rent a real small car. I need to get something to carry me around. I'm expecting a subcompact or something, $100 a day or whatever. I end up in a 5 Series Mercedes, personal car of the guy who owned the rental agency. Had it for 3 weeks and paid for nothing. Robert Reeves, I'm telling you, you need to get over there, son. Take your Air Force uniform with you because you won't spend a penny.
I think I fit better in a Navy uniform.
I'm sorry, a Navy uniform. And how could I not know that since I'm Navy also? My apologies. Anyway, I'm going to unshare my screen real quick and come back and tell you that, I can talk forever, but I'm going to turn it over to some of these way more credible and knowledgeable people. And I'm looking forward to a few of their speeches as well. But Pranvera was found on Facebook by my program in 2013. She and her group were doing the work. They were busting their, getting astronomy outreach out to their community, and they had nothing. I took the resources I had, which were not great, just the average American stuff laying in the garage. I said, look, let's get it over to them and let them use it. Since then, and also due to the fact that Pranvera was able to speak fluent English from watching horror movies, she was able to spread her program around. Listen, I got a million private jokes, but she was able to spread her program around the entire planet. She became the largest astronomy outreach program in Kosovo immediately because there weren't any other programs. Then in Europe, and then, the entire world. She may be one of the best known astronomers in the community in the world. And all this happened with a little girl who was hiding in a cave a few years before to not be killed with her family. And it happened because somebody noticed on social media that she was doing something good. And then that somebody sponsored her with just a little bit of resources. And then all these friends of that somebody started taking note. And here she is now, a graduate student in California. Listen, this is the success story of astronomy outreach, period, right in front of me. And I'm hoping Pranvera goes on to take Seth Shostak's place when she gets a little older. Not too soon, but I want her to be as well known as any other of these great astronomers we have on this call and scientists. And it's not a pipe dream. It's something that can be done with motivation, resource support, and just a little passion about what you're doing. Scott Roberts does this with all of his enterprises, and I try to do it with mine as well. So Pranvera, I want you to know publicly in front of all these very important people, except for teacher, of course, that that's another inside joke, that you have achieved way more than what I dreamed of you getting from the little support I gave you. And I know you like to credit me with what you've done, but your flower bloomed on its own because that was inside you. You became what you became because of you. The little bit of help that those of us on here have given you pushed you along a little bit, but you're the one with the engine. You're the one making it happen, and I'm very, very, very proud of you. So Pranvera, congratulations, and let's get the observatory in Kosovo built. Thank you.
Stephen, you're awesome, and thank you so much. Definitely. I see you're speaking highly of me, but of course, none of this would have happened if I wouldn't have all these Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo folks behind me. As you saw in every event, we're all working together, and we have gone through a lot. Not having cars, not having transport, not having equipment. We started from zero, and here we are wanting to build the first observatory in Kosovo. And Stephen mentioned that in Kosovo, it's not that you just go out there and want to buy a 20-inch telescope. That's impossible. You don't find one. And we want this thing to change. Right now I'm here in California, and I can just drive up to the Lick Observatory. I can go anywhere and observe from any huge telescope. But then I go back in Kosovo and I see all these other students who have the same passion as I, but they do not have the opportunity. They don't have the equipment. They don't have a planetarium. They never been into a planetarium. And we want to change that. And we want to make this observatory built, and we want people to know why we're doing this, why we want to make this change, and why they should consider donating to making this observatory built. So I will actually probably go ahead with South Showstack if he wants to say something, or any of you. I'm not gonna make a list. James, you also have been in Kosovo if you want to say anything, and all of you, just so what do you think actually about this project? Because this has been going on for like almost 2 years. We tried to convince the government of Kosovo to help us build it, but of course the government has prioritized the funds in something else, and it didn't happen. So right now we're trying to seek for private donations, and we're not giving up. This is the only way we can make this observatory, and we want that to be like available for the public to come there, for all the schools. They can observe, they can learn about science, they can learn about meteorites, they can have planetarium shows, and just have something which here in America is very common. And I want people to know about this and why this is so important for us.
Right. Okay. So who's up next here? I guess that would be you.
Anybody can actually take the word. I would also like to mention that we have here the deputy mayor of the city of Stime. That's the place where the observatory is going to be built. So I would like to let him say something if he wants to.
Sure.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Raman Yakupi. I'm Deputy Mayor of Municipality of Stime. First of all, I want to thank Pranvera, and I want to thank all of you, Mr. Scott and Mr. Steven, for all the contribution observatory that he donated for the AOK. I know that everyone is asking, what the hell are you doing here? But I want to mention some few things about the AOK. Pranvera and Milaim, they did a lot of good things. The project is, in our municipality, they come a lot of projects from the youth people, but the project for building the observatory was one of the best projects that I ever seen. I've been working in municipality of Stime 11 years ago. I was municipal information officer for 4 years. Then I was municipal chairperson for another 4 years. And this is my 3rd year in mandate as a deputy mayor, but I never accepted a project like they did. So I'm here to say that this project is very important for our municipality. Actually, it's going to be built on the village where Mr. Milaim Rushidi comes from. It's called Rashins. And since we are a very small municipality, I have to mention that since the budget in Kosovo is allocated per capita for the head of the citizens, our municipality is small, 27,000 inhabitants. And of course, also the budget is very limited. So a few weeks ago, we have announced the opening of the competition for the cities, where AOK will be part of this competition, of course, but the number of applicants is very large. It's very high. We have a lot of NGOs operating in our municipality, and I'm sure that AOK is going to be founded from our municipality, but as I mentioned, the budget is very low, so there are going to be some few thousands of euros, but I'm sure that these thousands of euros don't fulfill their request to build the observatory. But of course, we are going to start together, and I'm very sure that one day we are going to finish this, and I hope this is going to be very soon. So of course, with help of every one of you and with the help of other people who are willing to support this project. So I think we are going to make it. The importance of this project is very high. We have a lot of youth people that are very interested. Mr. Steven mentioned there are 100 of youth that are willing to observe, and they are willing to teach, and they're willing to learn about this topic, which is very, very interesting. So I want to thank Pranvera and Mr. Milaem and all of you for doing this project in
Well, I think we lost.
I think perhaps.
Yeah, but I would definitely like to thank him. They have been cooperating with us, and they also, along with the K4 troops together, they have been investing in the road construction that will lead you to the observatory. So that's very helpful. They also told us that they will take care of the electricity, bringing the electricity all the way to the observatory, and of course give us some funds. Of course, that's not going to be all of it, but at least some of it, which will be, of course, very helpful. I would also like to mention the fact, before I go ahead and talk anymore, just to share with all of you what we are actually talking about. Can all of you see this page of the supporting?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is what we're actually talking about. This is the project that we want to build in Kosovo. It's a building that, there is a video down here. I'm gonna play it. This video contains an observatory of about 6 meters wide, and a planetarium dome, which is also about 9 meters wide, and a conference room and some other places for exhibitions and all that. But this is how is it going to look like. In fact, I should probably make this big. And we estimated the project is going to cost a little over 200,000 euros. I would recommend that you actually ignore the dome here, which is looking wedge shaped. It's not gonna look like that, but this is just a project how it will look like when it's actually built. So I want people to know that if they actually are donating and helping to build this building, this is how is it going to look like. I would also like to mention the fact that Celestron has actually donated the telescope for the observatory. So we already have the telescope, which is a C14 Schmidt-Cassegrain, and this will be installed in the observatory once the observatory is built, but we still need the funds to build the object. And this is the telescope. How is it gonna look like? And I would also like to mention that the dome, it's going to look like this, because you didn't see this in the video. And of course, I would also like to mention that the planetarium equipment, the projector and the sound system has been also donated by Jack Dunn and Hab Griffin. Jack Dunn is with us here, so if you'd like to say something, please feel free to share.
I didn't know if you wanted me to talk before. You've got still a rather amazing panel set up, but I have a couple of pictures that I can show. Let me see if I can do this. First of all, amazingly enough, exactly 1 year ago was this. If you can see, do you see who's on my screen?
Yeah.
Anyway, a year ago, Pranvera was in Colombia here. And there's a picture with a highlight of her asteroid. One of the things is that that planetarium theaters, I have an experience of going back to when I started as a student in the planetarium. I will admit to being of some age. So Pranvera was probably not around when this building was built, but that was the planetarium that I started out in shall I say, 1966. Things have come a long, long ways. And one of the things is that, yes, we can do amazing astronomy things. That's shot off of a dome. That's an image on a dome. And today, with the kind of technologies that are available, you can take people to experience these kinds of things in a way they never could before, simply because in a shared experience in a theater, you can look at the cosmos in all sorts of ways, but you can, because it's now digital, you can do all kinds of other things. And just to show you, this is where we went out to Western Nebraska when Pran spoke at the Nebraska Star Party. That's the Nebraska Sandhills. Now, if you notice that horizon line there, you can see why this is very good for observing, because there's nothing out there but cows. That's the way it is, you know, but really dark skies. And so the modern planetarium has the advantage that it can give us experiences not only in astronomy, but all kinds of science, and do all kinds of things to take us to these other places. One of the of our planetarium friends is in Kenya, and they're taking the fisheye lens cameras now and shooting out in some really exotic places. But you never know. You can go anywhere now today with this kind of technology. You could be in a car with Pranvera driving across Western Nebraska if you wanted to. But what I really want to mention is the support that I've found in the planetarium community for Pranvera and her efforts. We have a small group through the International Planetarium Society that we've had these Zooms and Skypes. And just to give you an idea of the kind of support she has gotten already, here we are with Dave Weinrich and Glenn Moore, who's in Australia. Dave's in Wisconsin. I was in South Carolina, and our friend Glenn was over in Australia. So I put a little map up there just to give you the idea. We're trying to totally surround the world with support for this project. And I think that is something that is really, really important to show, that the planetarium community we were late to the gate because the amateur astronomers recognized already AOK and Pranvera's efforts. And as we came along to it, we see also that this is something to get behind. I will admit that most of us planetarium people are also astronomy geeks. And so therefore we have a lot of us involved with observatories at the same time too. So we want to see this whole thing built. The observatory first, because that is what will be the highlight to follow up on AOK's efforts, but the planetarium can add on to it. So anything that we can do, it's going to be there. I mean, after seeing some of the things that Steve Ramsden has done around the world already just by himself, we planetarium people get our act together, because we need to be just as active. So anyway, so like I said, there are a lot of things that one can do that you don't have to spend a fortune. You don't have to rebuild, a giant facility to just get things to where people can share the stars. And that is something that I have seen from Pran's message from day one. So we're going to share the stars in a dome, 2 domes. How's that?
Thank you very much, Jack. Jack has been helping us until we made all the architecture, giving us all the advice, what we should do, what we should consider, all of that. So thank you so much, Jack. I would like to give the word to James if you would like to share something, because he has been also in Kosovo, visited us in person. I would like to mention James is an aerospace engineer, worked for most of his life designing space satellites.
We do not have audio for James.
Come on, James, get it together, man.
You can speak. It can be heard from here.
All right. Let's see. My background is designing spacecraft. I've done this for close to 35 years. and a number of them have actually been astronomical observatories. I also like to travel a lot for vacation, and when I first found out from a mutual friend about AOK, I had no idea what that organization was. I was just planning on going to Kosovo. And before I even basically set foot in Kosovo, Pran had already hooked me into giving a lecture as to a group of about 50 or so of her members, and in addition to that, some of the actual members of parliament. And so I ended up spending quite a bit of time, several days with the AOK organization. And I'd like to echo a lot of what Stephen Ramsden said. It's a really good organization. I don't think you can underestimate the number of people that have actually been reached, both inside and outside of Kosovo, because they do go to Albania, they go to Macedonia, and other areas. I've also seen the ups and downs associated with government funding. And I share a lot of Stephen's comments, and I'm not at all confident that you're going to get the funding that you really desire, given the priorities. It is, the economy's lousy. There's not an awful lot of options economically. They are landlocked. If you go to in some of the neighboring countries, you'll see that they're trying to develop tourism. Well, they really don't have much of an option of being able to do that. But it's a very young country. And the youth are basically the future. They're going to have to rely upon the inspirations and the education of the youth. And I can't think of a better way to be able to do it than basically through a mechanism like this. I remember back when I was a little kid and seeing Apollo 11 landing on the moon, and that inspired me to be able to sit there and take the career path I did. They're great people. They love Americans. And one of the things I also wanted to comment before I log off is the GoFundMe does not recognize Kosovo. So if you go to the GoFundMe page, you will see my name. And I'm going to be basically funneling any resources in terms of donations through me into the AOK organization. So I think that's pretty much my experiences. It's really great seeing some of the familiar faces that from Kosovo that I met when I was there, and some of the other folks that I've gotten to know through the AOK organization. So thank you.
James, I'd like to interject.
Thank you, James. And just to let you know, James and I are actually here in the same room because he's helping me to settle down for graduate school, and he has been a really big help. So I'd like to thank him very much. I see we also have here Radri and Robert, and who else hasn't spoken? Seth, and also Milan Rushiti, who's going to speak in Albanian. I would like to mention that we already have the land, the property for the observatory donated. So we have the property, we have the telescope, we have the road infrastructure. All we need is that building to actually have all of these things inside there. So the property was donated to us by the current director of the Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, Milan Rushiti. So I will have you speak now if you want to say something, and then we will pass on to the others.
Mirama.
Milan.
We actually can't hear you.
I can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. Unë jam Milan Rushiti, kryetari I klubit Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo.
So just to let you know, he's gonna speak in Albanian. I'll translate if that's not a problem.
Sorry. Ne si klub jemi të interesuar dhe kemi shpreh këtë gatishmëri për me bë këtë observator qysh që 5 vite. Mirë po mundësitë tona për me arrit një gjatë të tillë janë hënë të pakta, megjithëse projektin e kemi bën. Please translate.
So he's saying that we, as an Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, we have been working for like over 5 years doing all these outreach activities. And right now we're trying to actually make an observatory for the first time and make this happen.
Mirë, po na qysh kur kemi fillu për këto vrojtimet nuk kemi nal vetëm në observator, mirë, po kemi bërë gjatë ato vrojtime me ndihmën e Stevenit, Jamesit, Rodrit, e gjithë juve që na keni mbështet deri tash.
So we were able to do all of these activities only with your support because by all the equipments that you guys have donated to us, to all the people that have been supporting us. So this was the only way that we actually were able to do our work.
Ne si veni I vogël, Kosova, dihet që edhe një vendi okupun, qysh prej Serbisë në atë kohë, nuk është zhvillu shkenca në Kosovë.
Because of our country was occupied by the Serbian, folks. It was part of Yugoslavia and all that. So and also because of the war that we had in Kosovo, it was just impossible to have the education and science actually developed in our country before.
Edhe nëse ka pas diçka investim në ato, pra në shku në qendër të Jugosllavisë dhe ju në Kosovë, dhe Kosova ka mbetë shumë mbrapa lidhje me këtë punë, sidomos me shkencën e astronomisë.
Even if there was any investment in science, all of the investment went mainly in other regions back in Yugoslavia day, not in the Kosovo region. So that's why our country actually doesn't have a lot of resources in education.
Unë kam studiu në fakultetin e fizikës dhe aty vetëm një semestër mbahet astronomi dhe atë nuk kemi ku të vrojtojmë edhe ku të bëjmë një praktik lidhje me astronominë.
He's saying that he had his degree in the physics department, and it's so sad because in the Department of Physics they never had the opportunity to actually observe or learn anything, about astronomy. Just in one of the semesters that they have, an astronomy subjects, but it's very briefly, very basic. It's nothing that would actually help you to have an astronomy degree. So.
Për herë të parë kur ne jemi taku me teleskop si profesor në gjimnaz, ka qenë ajo kur jemi taku me Pranverën edhe kemi provu me I montu teleskopet që ish dashur na ta kem si praktik në fakultet shkenca kur e kum kry, mirë po në mungesë të asaj është dashur vetëm prej këtyne donacioneve që na kanë ardhur nga jashtë me pa për herë të parë teleskop.
He said that as a professor of astronomy, he never had the opportunity to look through a telescope. And the first time that he had to look through a telescope was when he met me back in 2015, and he didn't even know how to work with a telescope and all that.
That is unbelievable.
So that's why he's saying that he's very thankful to all the donations that we were able to receive, because that was the only way that allowed him to learn about this and to actually feel what it's like looking through telescopes.
Dhe të epokët të metë që ka Kosova edhe këtë mangësi, me thonë, në lidhje me astronominë, atëherë jemi bashku me Pranverën edhe me ndihmën e gjithë tyne që na kanë prunë mjetet nga jashtë, e kemi bërë të mundur që ta formojmë klubin edhe të ecim para me vrojtime, të paktën pasi nuk kemi një vend u vrojtojmë, atëherë në përsheshe, në përshkolla t'ju mundsojmë fëmijëve që të vrojtojnë.
So he's saying basically starting from this, seeing all the how should I put this together? By actually seeing that we miss so much science, that we don't have the opportunity. He said that I saw it necessary to join Pranvera and make all this group work and do all these activities together to make something better, to make a change rather than just sitting and doing nothing about it. Professor nuk kena edhe shumë kohë, kështu që po ja japim fjalën edhe tjerëve. Thank you so much. I would like to thank you also for donating the property to the observatory. That's a very huge thing. Thank you so much. And we only have 13 minutes left, so I would like to go ahead and either Rodri or Robert, either one of you can go ahead and talk, or Seth. Please feel free. I don't want to restrict anybody to speak like that, but just feel free. This is a friendly event. Anybody can, say something.
I might say something because Jack had behind him the background of the Rose Center in New York. I don't know if he's sitting in Central Park now. I don't know.
Actually not. It's not the Rose Center. It's Columbia, South Carolina, right here. That's where they have, the other night, they have painted with light the outside of the dome to make it look like the pumpkin. So
sounds scary to me.
We have one thing up on the Rose Center. Same idea, though. A whole bunch of theaters have been built that way now with the ball. So anyway.
Well, I mention it only because, if you ask astronomers, to begin with, to talk to astronomers is not recommended in general anyhow, but if you ask people who do astronomy for a living how they got interested in this subject, 8 out of 10 of them will say it was either because of a movie or a television show, or even more commonly, they'll say because they went to a planetarium. So clearly this project promises to do that in a part of the world that hasn't been able to introduce its students to these sorts of physical sciences in the way it should. So that's good. And undoubtedly will lead to Kosovoian, whatever the adjective is, astronomers, professional astronomers. But I think it's more valuable than that, in the sense that if you learn astronomy, you learn how science works. And if you learn how science works, you're set up for something that's going to be very important. Because, if you were born 1,000 years ago in the year 1021, you probably wouldn't know any science, and it didn't matter because, to begin with, there wasn't very much science, and beyond that, it didn't affect you. But that's no longer true. So that's, just a social good. And I'll just close by saying that unlike Steve and many of you, actually, I have never been to Kosovo, but it's obvious to me that the citizenry must be very intelligent, because even children there can speak this very difficult language.
You're the greatest, Shostak.
Well, I'm not a donor or anything that can apply money or a physical property to this planetarium project, but I'm really not sure why I'm here in this meeting, how I fit in, but I am very proud of several things. I first noticed Pranvera when she was just literally a child at school. This little girl daydreaming about astronomy, things in the sky, wishing she even had a book about astronomy to be able to read, and followed her for a good number of years as she evolved, created Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo, and showed extraordinary social networking skills, and ballooned up AOK into something that was literally known around the world. I decided to write a magazine article, newspaper article about her, increased her footprint. I literally waited until she turned 21 before inviting her to speak at the Texas Star Party. Brought her to the United States with a little help of many people, because our government slammed the door on her face literally as she was about to get on the airplane to come to the United States. But through the efforts of friends, she prevailed. She came to the Texas Star Party and never left. People found she was coming over here. She was so well known that my intention of bringing over for the Texas Star Party and then putting her back on a plane back to Kosovo did not work out. It was 6 months before she left. So many people became interested in her and what she did. She's just going from place to place to place to place, speaking and visiting all of these places in the United States, and just demonstrating what determination and passion can accomplish. in the face of almost no physical support in the local region. Just what Pran has done is astonishing. And well, like I say, I've opened 3 doors for her. I wrote those magazine articles. She became known. I invited her to the Texas Star Party. She became known to the American audience. And then I had an asteroid named after her. And I'd like to think that might have a little bit to do with her interest in planetary sciences. And I'm looking forward, very much looking forward to seeing her graduate, get her degree in planetary sciences, get her PhD in it. And I've watched this evolve before my eyes, thanks to Facebook and the worldwide astronomy community that has embraced this young lady and made her passion theirs. And extraordinary things are happening. She's leaving a vast wake behind her wherever she goes. And I just can't wait to see what the future holds. So
thank you so much, Robert. And you keep saying that you didn't do anything, but well, you actually helped me come over here, and I got to travel around the United States, make so many connections, meet people, see observatories and telescopes, and learn a lot. And then all of that knowledge and experience, I took it back with me in Kosovo and shared it with others. So you didn't just help me, you helped our country, you helped our organization, you helped all people, our people. So thank you so much for that. And I would like to go ahead to Rodri and let him share his experience with AOK. He has been visiting us. I can't count how many times, and he visits me all the time. I'm over there, so please go ahead. And we have like about some more minutes left. So,
do you hear me clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thanks Scott Roberts for this event, and also thank you to Tim Rousden. Be always somewhere around AOK. I know your help is absolutely priceless, and I'm also really happy to see some familiar faces, some friends like Patton, like Prof. Milaim, like Buyar, some of the members of the AOK board, and talking about some people who did nothing, like you, Robert. I want to say thank you also to you, being the very first person who invited Pranvera to the United States. Because for us, for you and me, invite Pranvera somewhere is maybe something simple, but it turns out of beautiful results. Because last year, for example, I had the chance to invite Pranvera for a second time in Switzerland, and we participated to Starmus for the whole week. And well, ask Pranvera how much fun we had among the scientific GOTA of the world. And that was really something. And I feel really privileged because I'm one of the few who... Steve?
Okay.
I feel really privileged to be one of the few who can have personal experiences in Kosovo. Actually, in effect, I did lost the count about how many times I were in Kosovo. I was in Kosovo in the last 3 years. Actually, after have participated to some AOK events, have met a few members, or having met more than one time all the people of the board. There is no other place I am interested to go during my holidays than in Kosovo. And I'm really missing this country now due to the virus pandemic, because I'm really eager to come back again. I was telling before about a few trips in Kosovo. Worth to mention, especially when I had the chance to join some public events in some school. Especially, we were lucky to have a wonderful day with a sun and shine in Mitrovica. I was in a school. I did a small presentation for a few people, and then we had a solar astronomy observation in the hall. There were maybe 100 students around, and it was absolutely beautiful. And they are really eager to have knowledge. They are really thirsty of science, of knowledge, of anything, and this amazes me. For them, is absolutely normal. They will tell you, well, we are like this. There is nothing special. This is not true. I can tell you, Kosovo boys and girls can be really surprising, because I used to joke with some friends. I have more smart friends in Kosovo than here in Switzerland, and I believe this is true. And I can well remember the marvel those students have experienced, because I was touched also by myself, because I had the chance to look like all the students into a telescope, and on the right moment, a wonderful solar flare was up in that moment, and it was absolutely magical. And just think that nobody in my country, here in Switzerland, has faced a telescope show something like this for me at the school or in a public event. Never. And I had to wait for until being 40 years old and going to Kosovo for such an experience. And it was something simple, but it was absolutely priceless. And I really hurt this day, because I've seen how AOK really does the events, how they treat the students, how much interest they get in anything they do. Well, I'm very fortunate, and I also consider it priceless the friendship I have with many guys around AOK, and I'm really thankful for this, because also their culture, there is every time something new to learn for me, and I find this really absolutely interesting.
Thank you so much, Rodri.
I was wondering some time ago about how it would have been possible to reflect my personal feeling for the club and for the board, for the job they do. And well, it happens that I found a worthy way to demonstrate this, arranging the AOK logo and flag in Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy initials to be portrayed on the International Space Station a year ago. That was something good, and I'm really happy for this. And that was I really wanted to show Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo how much they are special, and that was quite a fitting way, and I'm also happy for this. And I also have 2 other dreams for Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo. My second dream, well, we are working on, and maybe for the next year, stay tuned. We're trying to arrange a surprise that will leave a small print in the country of Kosovo. And my third dream for AOK is to have the observatory, because they really need this. And there is something special in this picture, because it was worthy to tell. The commander of Expedition 16, cosmonaut Ovchinin, did this for AOK. This was printed on the board of the International Space Station. It was portrayed, and after quite a long journey, it has been delivered also to me physically. And last February, I delivered this page, who you are seeing in the picture, physically to AOK people in Kosovo. And Alexander Ovchinin did something very special, because he's on a first he said, no, I can't do something like this for Kosovo people, because I'm Russian, and Russia has no diplomatic relationships with Kosovo. But after a few days, the picture came back to Earth, you can imagine my own surprise for this, because and the explanation, he said, well, they are doing science for Kosovo. I'm here up to do science. So we have something in common. This is enough to me to do this surprise for them, and I'm very happy for this. And well, this was something special also on his side, and this was worthy to be mentioned. And I was physically, I visited the land where the observatory will be built. It's really a wonderful place, and I remember the hopes and the happiness on a first, when the government passed the law for supporting the observatory. Then I also followed the people who were struggling to get the politics to be focused again on the matter of observatory. And well, I'm really hoping that this will sooner or later. That's no matter, even if in 10 years. So this is still okay, because it's a firm point that Kosovo really deserves to have an observatory, and I think Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo is really the right bunch of people, who is the best one to manage such a project. So
thank you so much, Rodri, and thank you to all of you for joining here and showing your support to AOK and to this project. I'm very confident that with the help of all of you, we're going to build this observatory, and we're going to make a change for our people and give this opportunity to the people of Kosovo. To all of you that would like to donate, you can go to the GoFundMe and just type in Kosovo Observatory, and you will come up with a link where you can actually make your donation. We will very much appreciate any donation. Again, thank you so much, Scott Roberts, for giving us this opportunity to actually put this on your show, and we will let you go ahead with your own show now. Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure. Pranvera, it was great to have all these wonderful people from around the world showing their support for this, your cause, for all your inspiration. Who knew that a young girl from all the way around the world could touch the hearts of so many people everywhere. And so you keep carrying the light, and I'm sure that Astronomy Outreach of Kosovo will get that observatory built. I donated myself, so I hope people follow suit. In fact, I know some of the people in chat did donate during this program. So thank you very much. Guys, we are going to take a short break as we change our program around here. And so just give us a few minutes and we will be back.
That's just that. You're the man.
I'm a man.
Palmer.
Okay, bye, Pran.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Bye.
Steven, you're an
Okay.
awesome man. Bye, everybody.
Gary Palmer, you're a.
It's only applicable if you can say it out loud properly.
Good luck to a famous grad student.
Hey, Gary.
Hi, Jerry. Thanks for the email the other night. I will
Sure.
get on to it over the next couple of days. It's been a
Okay.
bit of a hectic weekend.
There's nothing going on over there. It's cloudy, so it's not hectic.
Yeah, but I have as many customers to deal with as you do.
I wanted to get an opportunity to say hello to people. I didn't get an opportunity. Scott just cut us off. Golly, Scott, have Seth Shestak on there, and I don't even get to say hello.
Jerry, it worked. He rebooted everything. He fired it back up, and everything works.
Okay, good.
My job is done.
Your job is done, huh?
Ish. Well, I had to help Dale Beasley. You never had to mess with Dale Beasley. You don't know.
This convo is still broadcasting out live.
I don't know. That's what I was wondering, if our voices were going out on the ether.
Yes, they're probably being heard live, I would imagine.
Yeah, it says we're live.
That means we can't cuss or anything.
No, darn it.
Let's stop
Dang.
cussing right now.
You can say
Doohickey.
dag nabbit.
Dag nibbit.
How do you spell that? Dag nabbit.
DAGNABBIT. Dag
Dag
nabbit.
nibbit. Because Jerry's probably had to spell it a time or two.
Come on, Scott.
I didn't know it was spelled phonetically or if there were like silent letters in it or something. Like where the X and the Z are silent in that
Yeah,
word.
right. And that's just like Prince. Remember, he changed his name to a symbol. You remember that?
Yeah, the artist formerly known as Prince.
That's right. That's what his name was. The artist was formerly known as Prince.
For record contract.
Yeah, that's it.
Mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy.
I have to create a symbol and just call me this. All right, how do you pronounce it? Yep, that's right.
I find the visual representation of the smoke detector.
Y'all are too much.
You guys ready to go on live?
Yeah, whenever.
Yep.
All right, I'll just go ahead and take us on here.
Do it, do it.
Here we go.
Do the ring
Leave half our audience.
Well, we're back. I decided that we didn't need to be on intermission for 10 minutes. Our staff is here and Gary Palmer's here, so we are looking to start the second segment of our program today for the OpenGOTO community. And let's see, let me show our group here. So we got Gary Palmer, Jerry Hubbell, of course, and Tyler Bowman. And so I think that we're all going to be on the Global Star Party tomorrow. That would be great. And
I think we're gonna have clear skies here in Virginia tomorrow night, so that'll be good.
That's great. Weather look out there in the UK, Gary.
I've got no chance. More chance of getting clear weather. Yeah, anywhere else apart from the UK at the moment. This week's looking a bit rough. But
you'd stop buying stuff.
Right. Yeah. Every time you get new equipment, Gary, you know that ruins your weather. So.
Yeah, but the thing is most of it is sent to me to try out, to test, to do whatever. So I'm not actually buying it in a sense. But the same rules still apply, and we've always tried to work out whether it's relative to the amount of money it costs if you actually purchase it. So if a scope costs £5,000, do we get that amount of weather come through? Yeah, that's relative to maybe buying an adapter. So,
yeah, the UK's bad weather can be blamed solely on Gary and his job and what he does.
That's right. And the more stuff he gets, I mean, sometimes he makes an entire global cloud out, so I think we've actually had that before on the Global Star Party. Global cloud out, northern, southern hemisphere, all over the world. Pretty weird, you'd think it was Venus or something. So, but what a great program we had to start out with Pranvera Hyseni and her guest. It's really, if you looked at everyone in the room there, it was a who's who of astronomers and influencers from around the world. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I managed to grab a screenshot of the Zoom so I could prove I was in the same Zoom session as Seth.
Shot back, right?
Yeah, I got a picture.
Same room with Carl Sagan. I know, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, Jerry was angry with me because I cut everybody off to go to this show before he could say hi to Seth. But we'll get Seth on the show sometime. He's a great guy to have give a talk. So who do we got on with us right now? I think a lot of our regular followers, Kanan Lucas, Marco Pola, Michael Whitaker, Brett Blake, Dusty Haskins, Jeff Wise. Jeff said I made him cry again. No, but I know he loves astronomy, and I think we all get, as astronomers, how important it is for society to understand, to be scientifically more literate. And there's a lot of problems in this world that we have to solve, and we're going to solve these through understanding science. That is really the basis of what we need. And astronomy is a really cool avocation because it brings people together. You don't have to be, you don't have to understand physics. You don't have to understand math. If you can understand that you look through the eyepiece and you're seeing other worlds, then you understand that we're all in this universe together on this little blue planet. So that is something that instantly comes across for most people. Book Davies is with us. Who else? Richard Grace. Looks like a few days of clear skies coming here. So it looks like we're going to have some clear skies for Global Star Party number 13. We are right now, this week is World Space Week. And World Space Week is the biggest celebration of space events anywhere. And so last year they had something like 8,000 events worldwide. The United States participates in this heavily, but where the greatest participation is really for World Space Week is with women in the Middle East, which is really incredible. So we love it. And to prove that people were hearing us, Michael Whitaker says, "Dag nabbit," or "dang nabbit." That's how it's pronounced, actually. Dag, that's more pioneer gibberish, guys. So, okay. Anyhow,
frickin' is another word. Frickin'.
Frickin'?
Yeah.
No, it's fracking. Fracking. That's what they do in Oklahoma to get gas.
To get gas and oil, right?
They frack, and that makes earthquakes here in Arkansas. So, But we'll get
We'll get
with
myth. What are you
that.
talking about?
He joined us on the show as a follow-on to his last installment of image processing and images that I think he got from his new ED102. So, but we're going to give you the stage, my man. Here you go.
Thank you.
Get me off stage.
Hope everybody's well.
Yes.
So what I thought I would do today is we more or less finished that picture the other day, but I wanted to start catering for a few people who are maybe on a tight budget. Any number of reasons. Maybe it's too complicated, maybe they want to keep things simple, but have a quick look at some of the other software that's around. So maybe Deep Sky Stacker, AstroArt, AstroPixel Processor. There are so many pieces of software out there. But most people, when they come into deep sky imaging, move over to some form of deep sky photography, processing with, say, Deep Sky Stacker. So I'm just going to share the screen straight up, and hopefully you can see that. Did that work?
Yep.
Yep, cool, good. So this is the end process, but what I wanted to do was run in at the beginning. Just come out that because I clicked the wrong box there. There we go. Of how we actually set this up to start working, and it more or less works with most cameras. It's fairly basic. It's free. So if you haven't got around to taking flat frames and bias frames and anything else, you can just run this with your light images and your dark frames. And the dark frames really need to be around the same time and any gain settings as the light images. So if we were imaging for 60 seconds, then we would capture the dark frames for 60 seconds. And there are a couple of things to remember with doing the dark frames. If it's a cooled camera, you could do cooling the camera down to the same temperature. And if it's a DSLR, it's to actually cover the whole of the camera when taking the dark frames. Because a lot of people forget that light enters through the back of the camera, through the viewfinder. Even though the mirror's flipped up, you can still get light come in that area. But we add these in, so we've added the light frames in, we add the dark frames in, flats, and some biases here. And then we can go down the list and we can see all of these. One of the first things you need to do is set one of your files as a reference file. So if you right click on it, you'll see that that one's checked, use as a reference file. And then we actually need to check all of the images, and we need to check them all so that it knows that we're actually going to use these. So you can just use check all, or you can go down through each of these and you could manually click on this one and it would load up in this area here. And then we can go into it and we can, this is just adjusting the brightness so we can actually see what's going on in the image and actually just get a visual reference. Once we've done that, yeah, we can go off to register and stack the images. Beforehand, if it's a color camera, you need to go into this area down the bottom here, the raw fits DDP settings. And if we go to fix file, we need to set this up for the actual camera itself, the actual color, the biometrics. So on this particular camera, it's RGB, but on another camera, it might be GBRG or so on. So we would select this from the list. Once that's done, we apply it. And then we would go off and we would get ready for stacking the images. So we can quite often follow most of the basic things in Deep Sky Stacker. It works fairly well. If we click on the Advanced tab, this is the area that normally brings everybody to a halt because they don't actually understand that it needs so many stars to align the image and do everything with. So if we adjust this slider, yeah, and it will normally come on somewhere up around 50%, somewhere like that. If we compute the number of stars there, it's going to tell us there's only 62 stars. And really, to be honest, we need a lot more than that. So I would run this all the way down. But if you use a full frame camera or you're using a very fast system, so we're running a system at F4, F5, somewhere around there, you're going to have thousands of stars. And what trips this program up is having too many stars in the image as a reference. So if this takes forever and ever, yeah, then you need to back up a little bit. So if we compute, there should be around 200 and something stars. And then if we went OK, this would give us our area, and we need to go into the stacking parameters then and just have a look at what it's going to do on the stacking parameters. So we can look here and we can set up the Kappa Sigma clipping and run through our different settings. To go through different settings in a program, quite often say to people, have a look on YouTube. There's so many videos on there now that people have been running through all of these different things, and you'll get a different idea for the different cameras that are being used or different equipment. Once that's all done, we'll cancel out of that now. We'll actually go back to one that I processed earlier to save a bit of time. So we're just going to go no on that, cancel out. And this is our image. So if we reset it, that's how it came into the software after it was all stacked and calibrated and everything else. So what we need to do with this, yeah, is that we can apply some settings in here for when it goes out to Photoshop, or we can do some of the processing in here, but it is very, very limited. It's a free piece of software. So we can link all the color channels together. We've got a fairly good color balance. We can see by the colors over the top of each other. And then we can just drag the central line over to the right of fraction, somewhere about there. Mm-hmm. And then apply it. Okay.
Nice.
And then we can do a little touch more. And if we go into the luminance, you can get the mid-tone and just drag the mid-tone across a little bit to the right, like that. That will brighten up some of the background areas. And if we wanted to add a bit of color in, to go to saturation, bring on something like a 15% saturation shift to start with and apply that to the image. The point in here is not going too mad, and you are limited that if you stretch the image too much. So if we went back here and we stretch this right over, you're going to find that it's going to pull the stars out, it's going to pull everything out on the image. So it's really a case of playing around with this and being nice and gentle with everything you're doing there. We just use that as a reference. Now, if we want to save this to file, we're going to look here at the settings. Now, if we've adjusted things and we want to keep them in the image, then we have to check embedded adjustments to be saved. You can embed embed them in the background of the image, so you've got two options here. But basically, you can save this out like that. You can save them out as a TIFF image, which would probably be what I would be doing if I was working on it in Photoshop. If I wanted to go into another piece of software that would read FIT files, then I would go into saving it as a FIT file. And that's the basics for getting the image through Deep Sky Stacker. Another piece of software that I use, and it is one of the fastest on the planet for processing images from large cameras. The only downside to nearly all of these pieces of software is they really do eat into the memory of your computer, and that causes lots and lots of problems. That if you run processes multiple times to change something, the computer actually runs out of memory, and you have to close these programs down and restart them back up again. It really is about what computer you use and how much memory it's got in there, how much RAM and all of those sorts of things. But AstroArt I've used for years, and I actually use this for checking images rather than maybe run them straight away through the full process on PixInsight. So we're going to look at this and how we set this up, and we go into tools and we go to pre-processing. This does have a free trial on it. You can download this and run through the free trial, and if it's a piece of software you like, you can purchase it. It also does come with a couple of other things. You've got plugins to control cameras, and you've got plugins to control mounts and other things. So it is a full all-in-one piece of software. Once we open up this area, first thing we've got to do is add all of the files in. So you can see, yeah, it was a test, literally 20 test images. There was quite a bit of cloud around, but it was still running. It was just a test on a guiding system. So we've run the flats in, run the light images in, and run the dark frames in. On the actual setup for the image itself, star pattern and rotation, yeah, and a sigma average, yeah, for the resulting image. And then you can change these around really to your particular flavor on this. But the other key area to look in is this here with the CCD, and that is to set up the camera. Now, AstroArt works slightly different to other programs. It actually reads the fit file properly from the bottom up. So if it's reading the fit file properly from the bottom up, it's going to be the opposite of whatever the camera manufacturer says. So in this case, we used a ZWO camera, and it would have been RGGB. The opposite of that is GBRG. So we need to set the camera. So what I quite often do in these, and we'll just come out quickly, is I would just load one image in and go to the LRGB, one image in and go to the CCD color. And I would just do this on one image before I actually put them all into the stacking program. And that way I'll get the color correct for the single image, and I can go off and do whatever I want. But once it's all in, pre-processing, we can set it all up like that, and it's all ready to go. I've already done that. This is the resulting image that's come out. So if I just go back on there, that's the image. Now, if I brighten this right the way up, we can see what's in the background to the image. You can do quite a lot of processing in here. So you can do your curves in here. You can do lots of other different things right the way through. We can also run it out in what we call a DDP, yeah, which will set it up ready for Photoshop. But one of the key things here is the high pass strength. You need to get the high pass strength down, or you will end up with donut stars. You know, they'll end up with the little spots in the middle of the stars. And these already have got spots in the stars because of the cloud. So we can actually see that on a couple of these here, and we've picked it up in PixInsight. Once you've got the images out of here.
Just a moment, did you change screens?
Because all I'm seeing is Deep Sky Stack. That's all I'm seeing.
You've only seen Deep Sky Stack?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
The whole process that you just laid out, it's been stuck on Deep Sky Stacker.
And again.
Right. Hang on a minute. Let me have a look here and see what was going on then.
We weren't keeping up. Jeff says it's been 5 minutes. It's okay. Hey, Jeff, I've made every possible mistake you can in broadcasting. So this part, actually, Zoom is a little not so intuitive when you're sharing your screen with switching.
Yeah,
So
I'm just trying to get it to go back to normal, and it's having a bit of a...
you have to unshare your screen. Let me unshare your screen for you, and then you can come.
Right, since it was unshared then. But
Let me, and now you can come back. Come back and select the.
Come back through that bit that I was waffling on about on the last program. So if I share the main screen.
There you go. Okay, that's your desktop.
Yeah, we're going to share this one. That's the one I want. There we go. Right.
There's an
Did you see
exoplanet
that?
star.
Is that all sharing okay?
There, that one's better. There you go.
Okay, cool.
All right. Okay.
Right. So I'll quickly run back over that. If we go to the image, yeah, what I was getting at was that the piece of software actually reads from the bottom up, yeah, on the FITS file. So it's reading from down this area and not from the top down. So that means it's going to have reversed the diode pattern. And that's quite common in lots of software. Some write it that way. Some programs read it that way, but the true way for the fit format is from the bottom up. So AstroArt uses that, and in which case you would need to do this on one of your images to find the correct diode pattern. If we go to the tools and the pre-processing, We can see the files are loaded in there. So there's the light images, the dark frames, the flat fields. Yeah, and then if we go over to the options, we've got our sigma average, and you can choose here. So maybe you've done some imaging on a mount that's Alt-AZ. It will take into account rotation and all sorts of other things for the software. And it will also, once you go in up here, yeah, then you can set all of your debugger for the resulting image. Last thing that you want to do is check which way you want your dark frames to go through and your flat field frames to go through. Once that goes through, we've then got this as the resulting image.
Nice.
As I said, you can run through with DDP, which will prep it to go into something like Photoshop or GIMP or one of the other programs, whatever you're using. The only thing to be careful of there is that high pass. Yeah, it comes on with it set up right up at 60. And if you run that, it will put holes straight through the center of the stars. So you really want this run down quite a long way, somewhere around there. And that would set the image up. So that image is now ready to go into Photoshop. And if we look at that image, yeah, so I've got 2 of them saved here. That's the one just run through a little bit of Photoshop processing, just to bring out some more detail in it. The one from Deep Sky Stacker is there. You notice it's a little bit darker. It's harder to keep the control in the stars because of not being able to run the DDP. But if we run the same images, sets through PixInsight, you'll see the difference. That's the reason why we pay for the software, yeah, and pay a little bit more money for it. It's giving me a lot more control. So I said to you, there are bullet holes in the stars. You can see them on that image there, and that is all caused by the high cloud going through at the time. Nothing you can do about that, but this wasn't really a test run to grab images. It was more a guiding issue, yeah, that we were checking on. This has not had any color added to it, so it's just a full stretch, and you can see there, again, the bullet holes are there on the stars, but if you look at some of the other stars that are not so bright, you haven't got those bullet holes. Other things we're looking for, different things that we've got in the image, can be caused by 101 things. Normally bright moonlight, which there was on the night that it was imaged. Off-axis coming in.
These effects on the bright stars, this is a artifact of the processing, or is this an artifact?
Just the cloud. It's literally the combination of the cloud. I think I was actually talking to Tyler on this night, and I shut off imaging for about an hour and a half, just because of the cloud come through. And I was actually going to pack up, and all of a sudden it cleared. So I just ran 20 images through, just to see what we could get. But also from here, Orion's still quite low. So you got an amalgamation of issues there, but you're still getting a respectable image out of it. And we could certainly process around with those stars and play around with them a bit and draw some more out of the image. What the idea, that really the result of this is, it was just a guiding test, nothing else. So the off-axis light issues can be caused by 101 different things. And if we look in down there, let me just move this sliders around a bit. We can see it's come in. Now that could be a bounce back off of the filter, could be the moon, could be any number of things. But we can quite easily clone those 2 little bits out in Photoshop at the end of processing. But there are artifacts, and we quite often get asked a lot by a lot of people, why have I got these different shapes appear in the image? There are a multitude of reasons. So we did have a filter in front of the camera. It could have reflected back onto the actual camera's filter, and that could have been caused by the moon.
I see.
So we will process those up and post them up online in due course.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So let's, coming up next here will be Tyler Bowman to talk about tech support and the OpenGOTO community and what's going on in customer service. Let's get him on.
No, you don't have to.
I don't have to?
don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm big enough. I don't need to cover everybody's screen.
That's right. Yeah. So how's it been going today, Tyler? Has it been a busy Monday?
It has been a busy Monday. I've had to help a lot of people set up their systems through ASCOM, through Cart to Seal. Had to get a little bit of Jerry's help on that, so I thank him. Also, I thank Gary Palmer for showing us wonderful techniques on how to use either Deep Sky Stacker, AstroSmart for the other process, because that dude is full of knowledge. I will never stop picking his brain.
Right.
As far as that stuff.
Also becoming a student, right?
The grasshopper, yes.
Ah, grasshopper. Okay.
Grasshopper.
I think Tyler likes processing images better than working with the software for the controller.
I'm starting to understand the controller now, Jerry, because you have tuteled, or I'm tutelage as well as you, or for you. So it helps. Now, as far as the different platforms, YouTube, Facebook, we've had some questions about some DOBs as far as which is the why do people want to use trusses over solid tubes? Mainly we've answered, and it's mainly for portability. That's about all I saw mainly on Reddit was about DOBs and why people prefer our trusses over the solid states or solid tubes.
Well, solid tubes can get tube currents in them. They're also heavier, you know. I think the biggest advantage is the portability, really. You know, you start getting into a larger mirror, maybe something like a 16 or a 20 inch. Cool down time could be an issue, you know, but if you're, 12 and smaller, you can still go with a solid tube, no problem. But a solid tube on a 16, that gets to be a heavy Dobsonian. So
that 20 inch is pretty big.
Could be a monster with a solid tube. So
yeah.
And I've moved our 20 inch. I've taken on trips by myself. Still it's a sizable mirror, so it's heavy, but still not something that you couldn't deal with by yourself. And setup time is quick. So and the thing that's cool is that the collimation holds pretty well, surprisingly well. When we first started working with these truss tube Dobsonians, I was thinking I'm going to have to really go through a massive collimation every time, but I found that I would just like make one little tweak, if at all, so, it worked out pretty nicely.
No, I caught Jerry's, his little spiel this weekend. That was very informative, and it almost makes me want to start doing exoplanets, but I need to concentrate on the other thing first. I got to figure out stuff here before I can jump to there.
Yeah. I'm kind of scatterbrained with all the different things that I like to get into, and it gets to be, sometimes a little bit much.
Right. As far as customer service, we're kicking its butt. We're helping people out. We're doing everything we can as Explore Scientific customer service reps. So,
right. So let's see if we have any comments here from our team here on chat. Ron Delvo says there seems to be a lot of satellites that traverse the Orion Nebula area here. True? Okay. Don't know. I use the clone stamp in PixInsight to get rid of unwanteds. Right? CFox 11 says, very nice presentation, Gary. Michael Whitaker says, yeah, cheers. Oh, okay. I think he's talking to somebody else. Kanan Lucas says, really good tips from Gary. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Well, Tyler and Gary, that's great. We will wrap up our evening here with Jerry Hubbell's universe. I'm not sure what's in his universe, but probably some aliens, some weird, black holes capturing each other, some of the bizarreness out there. Maybe an exoplanet or two.
Yeah, an exoplanet. I didn't really have anything to present a whole lot. I've looked at the forum today some. There's a couple of people that I'm working with over email, and I think Tyler's been seeing those emails today. I don't really have a whole lot today. other than to say that the conference last weekend was really good, and it was pretty. My dogs keep barking. I don't know why the heck they keep barking, but they do.
I don't think it's real. I think it's like a little sound bite that you have.
It's like your
yeah, I'm hitting this button. I keep pushing this button. Oh, now you said it.
It's actually me barking, so that's right. Well, okay, that's great. So what are you going to do for a Global Star Party? You said it's going to be clear. What's your...
Yeah, I don't know what targets to pick. I've been doing some deep sky stuff, but again, it's I'd like to demonstrate. Maybe I'll demonstrate what the diffuser looks like for exoplanet observing.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, because that's something that many astronomers are doing. It would also be cool on one of the programs for you to show getting spectra from a star, if that's something you can still...
Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that tomorrow night too. That'd be good.
All right, so diffuser and spectra, right?
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, you're on, man. You're on. How about you, Tyler? Are you going to be trying to do imaging?
I am. I got my mini PC came in today, so I'm going to set that up tonight.
Good.
I ordered my power supply this weekend. That'll hopefully be in this week. So
yeah,
image tonight, hopefully, and tomorrow night, and the rest of the week, because they're supposed to be clear all week.
Cheating. My setup. I have engineering actually.
Yeah, I have to be my own engineer.
Cable management and everything.
I have to be my own, but what you have a mistake on, I don't have to do.
Well, I'm just kind of overseeing it, you know. So
yes, yeah.
Yeah, Scott's the observatory director. He's got his minions doing things, you know, including me.
Here I am doing my own thing, and he's having someone do it for him.
That's right. That's right. I want our engineering team to start doing astrophotography on a regular basis, you know, so that they understand what they need to do, you know, because that's really the future of amateur astronomy, is getting better data through imaging, you know. So we want them to do science, we want them to do beautiful images, you know, and we want them to see stuff that they may not be able to see from, you know, their light polluted backyard. So, you know, but they can get it, they'll be able to get it with narrowband imaging, you know, and when they can go out to dark skies, maybe they're taking their imaging rig and a 20-inch truss tube Dob, I'm just saying, so, okay. Anyways, it's been a lot of fun today. It was great to have Pranvera on yesterday, and we will see you tomorrow at 4, and then we'll see you again starting at 8 p.m. And we're trying to get some of my friends on from Australia as well. You know, so possibly, not promising anything, possibly Mary Craig, who actually did work under Jastrow, who was the director, famous director at Mount Wilson Observatory. She was a secretary for him, but she plays harp, and so she's she plays. I guess she's played for the Duke and Duchess of some faraway land, and she's very good. I've heard her play. And it makes beautiful. You know, she makes that harp do some beautiful stuff. Gil Clark is her husband, and Gil Clark is worked with NASA. He did the Telescopes and Education program, and is really kind of the father of people accessing telescopes remotely. You know, like where students were accessing telescopes remotely. So they had the TIE program at Mount Wilson that he ran for a very long time, and perhaps he will be setting up for a live remote down in Australia. Not sure, you know, but it will be daytime. So if they're not doing solar, I don't know what they'll be doing. But maybe they can show their setup, and maybe they can be doing some nighttime stuff during one of our European star parties early on. We'll have to see. But it's been great to have you on today. We've got lots more coming this week, and you know, you guys need to be celebrating World Space Week big time. So take care and keep looking up. Oh, there's the dog.
That's a little lady. That's one of our dogs. That's Lady. She's quiet.
She's
the
a
rest of
non-barker.
the other ones are the noisy ones.
Before barking her head off. All right. All right. So that's good. That's good. So we will see you tomorrow. Let me share my screen. And here we go.